Alrighty.
Whoa.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. Um, I want to apologize because I am currently in the last couple days in a state um of what's it called? Like insomnia. I get insomnia sometimes where I don't quite sleep. Like I sleep, but like I don't really sleep, and like it's like this. It's like I'm never quite awake and never quite asleep. Kind of like twilight. It's like this liminal space between states of being, and like, kind of like Megalith or like
Mm-hmm.
Tupac or Elvis. They're not quite alive, but they're also not quite dead. And I'm in that like weird space. I just wanted to apologize
No, you're
because
good.
I
I get
hate
that.
when I have like this weird insomnia thing going on because I'm like, I feel like everything's far away. I don't know. Oh, I hate to quote Fight Club, but in that movie he says something about. I don't remember. There was something he said about it.
I still need to watch Fight Club.
It's it's a complicated but uncomplicated movie. I think it's trying to say something very important, but I think that the thing that it's trying to say can get misinterpreted as something else. And I think a lot of people do that, and it gives it a really bad reputation. I think Rick and Morty is like that too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I still need to watch Fight Club either way.
It's a great movie, dude.
Yeah.
It's very good. I love it.
I was having a conversation at work today with some people just about movies kind of like that where it's like you almost because one of them for me that it's like I almost never want to recommend it to someone because of a lot of reasons, but A Clockwork Orange was a
Oh, I love it.
very good
I did a
movie to
paper on
have seen.
Clockwork Orange.
Say that
Hello,
again? Oh
guys.
man, really?
Yes, I did a paper on Clockwork Orange. It's well, it's got a lot of. It was one of the first movies that like really explored the idea of what conditioning is
Mm-hmm.
in psychology, and like it also it explored a sort of dystopian. I don't know how I would describe the world of Clockwork Orange, but it also really showed with what sociopathology is,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the main characters is like almost a textbook sociopath.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, so you've got two things. You've got this weird dystopian society, which isn't that strange because we kind of live in one anyways.
Sure.
And then you've got the sociopath who is,
I
I don't
guess
know.
before we go forward, spoilers for anyone who may watch Clockwork Orange. Not that I would recommend it because it is, in many ways, a very messed up movie. But
Well, I don't think it's I don't think it's designed to be a good movie
Yeah, no,
necessarily.
absolutely. No, absolutely.
It's not. It's not trying to be a good movie. I don't know how to make sense.
Well, yeah, it was never designed to be a movie where you walk out of it feel like, man, I'm glad that I watched that. Like, it's one of those ones where you can be like, that was an experience, and I think I gained a lot from that experience, but it wasn't necessarily pleasant in any way.
No, it's not. But I think it shows something about human nature
Oh,
that people
absolutely.
often don't want to see, and not just human nature on like the individual level, but like human nature on like
The societal
a
level.
societal
Yeah.
level.
To me, the most important thing that I felt like was addressed in the show is if you take someone and force them to do good, is that morally good? Does that actually mean that that person is good? Like, just that right there, because there's so many things, whether it's society or religion or in anything, there's a lot of people who have that mentality of let's just force everyone to be good. And
Well,
I
I
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, I agree. I agree with you, but I think it's a complicated question because I
For
don't
sure.
think that I don't think we create laws and things like that so that people can be good necessarily. I think
No, I
that
agree.
I
I'm not saying just about laws, but I mean in the show it like you said, it
yeah,
addresses conditioning, it
yeah,
addresses compulsion and things like that. And that's really what I'm talking about. Not just
yeah,
like
but
encouraging people to be good, but actually physically or mentally forcing them to
yeah, but I
do
don't think
good.
like here's the problem with sociopaths is
Hmm.
like I think when you come across what they are, like when you really understand what they are and like um how empathy works and stuff like that,
Sure.
I think you get to a point where the question of goodness or evilness is no longer a reasonable topic. And like it's like I don't know how to I'm not even sure we should like this is yikes. But I'm not even sure they should actually exist. Like I feel like this is going to sound really scary, but like if we had a way without any doubts whatsoever to figure out who they are, I don't know. I don't know. Like I think you can create a system where they don't cause as much harm as,
Sure.
but I mean,
Sure. And that's a very interesting thought, and it's one that
because
I
they
honestly
create a
don't
lot
know
of
where
harm.
yeah, no,
Even if they
absolutely.
don't kill people, even if they don't kill people, they
No,
create
for
a
sure.
lot of harm. So I don't know. I don't really know what to do about that.
It's
I have
certainly
But
one of
that's
those super
why I think it's
complicated issues, or yeah,
yeah. That's why I think Clockwork Orange is a good movie. I think it's a weird movie because it's hard. I don't know. I can't say whether it's good or bad or
no, I
whatever. I don't
agree.
even think, but I think it also points out that conditioning is actually not possible because there's this thing called extinction where like no matter how much conditioning you put on someone, if they're not inclined to follow it and you're not repeatedly punishing them for it, they'll reverse eventually.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
So it's
I
not
have
even
a
like a feasible way of actually controlling people's
Sure.
behavior in the long term. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
have
I
a friend who came out as a sociopath.
came out as a sociopath.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really interesting because I don't know. It's
I would respond to that saying that regardless of the problem, awareness is always the first step to doing something about it.
yeah, but you have
Yeah.
to ask like, why would a sociopath admit to being a sociopath unless it was to
Pragmatism.
gain something?
Possibly.
Well, I mean, that's the
The
only
thing,
like if they're truly a sociopath, that's the only reason why they'd be motivated to do it.
if they
I don't know. I
are
have a friend that's a sociopath, and he's kind of open about being a sociopath. But he doesn't choose to be a sociopath. That's just something that
he's
he
inclined
just
towards,
is.
or yeah,
Yeah,
Here's my understanding of being a sociopath. I would actually compare being a sociopath to autism. Not that they're similar, but that they're the exact opposite of each other. A sociopath is someone who fully understands your emotion but doesn't care. There's something about the way that their brain is wired that the empathy part, it just doesn't connect. Like, they get that you're angry, they get why you're angry. Doesn't matter to them the way that it matters to non-sociopathic human beings. Autistic people, they know that there's big emotions coming out of you. They don't know exactly what it is all the time.
They still care.
And they may not know why, but they care. They've got some empathy part of them, but they don't know quite how to respond to the stimulus that they're receiving from the person that they're interacting with. It's like I get it. I'm computing something. I don't know what the freak it is, and then they start freaking out because they're getting this unwanted, unexplainable stimulus. So I think that perhaps sociopaths, maybe if they have a sense of like pragmatism, like maybe they're not empathetic like in an emotional sense, but they're like, like I can see the advantages of having like a world that kind of functions and that does require some type of cooperation. So maybe that merits me explaining that I'm a sociopath in case I come across as like, some maniacal human being. I don't know.
I can see that, but I think that that's a problem because when things get rough, and eventually they do get rough, sociopaths throw people under the bus. Like that's what happens.
Here's my question about that. So let's take this as a given. Sociopaths exist, and whether or not it is the right way to deal with them, we don't have a way to simply root them out and remove them from society. And
are you going to kill baby Hitler?
Well, so the question
I don't think Hitler was a sociopath, by the way.
Whether he was or isn't, the point is that sociopaths exist, and they exist in society, and we can't simply remove them. So which is preferable? For if you have someone who's a sociopath, for them to make that known so that can be taken into account, or for it to be unknown? And I don't necessarily know what the better answer is, and I think it might be a person-to-person thing, but there's an interesting question of what is the preferable way given that they exist, given that they're there.
My theory is that, one, I don't think sociopathology is like an on-off switch. I think it can be. I think people have empathetic bubbles. So, like, I think that a lot of the people who I've seen that claim to be sociopath hear about people, and it may be pragmatic, I don't know, but I don't know if they know themselves well enough to really know if they don't feel anything for anyone. But I also think that, like, I don't know, I'm a bit suspicious of anyone who claims that they might be one unless they're, like, in prison and have killed somebody. And, like, we have a lot of interviews with psychopaths and sociopaths in prisons, right? And, like, I believe them. But I'm not so sure if I actually believe somebody, because I think it takes some level. I don't think the benefit is that great for someone to admit it. I'm suspicious of that, but I don't know.
Fair.
But I do think it is preferable that if we can get them to admit it and mitigate it, that would be great.
I mean,
I'm sorry for starting a whole conversation.
No, you're good.
No, I think it's good. It's nice to have our residents in philosophy.
Well, I actually have an undergrad degree in psychology. So.
And in order for the friendships to work, there needs to be communication and understanding. Even though he might not understand other people's feelings, like, he knows the feelings are there, he knows what they are, but doesn't process them.
I don't think you can be Sorry, you broke up too. Are you there?
Wait, so my major is psychology, your major is psychology.
So.
Oh, Enrique's back. Yeah. There we go. He's back. All right, I'm gonna silence now. So. We couldn't hear you for like the past 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Just saying that he wants to make sure that his friends know that he's a sociopath, because he wants the friendships to work, because And here's the thing: it's good for him to have friends.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. Because if he doesn't, he's more likely to do something.
Yeah, well, see, he knows that as well, but he doesn't. He understands that we get emotions, and we. Uh, he knows what those emotions are. He just doesn't feel anything towards that. But he knows that in order for him to have friends, that communication needs to be there, and so he tells us that he's a sociopath.
I suspect
So
he's
that
probably more autistic than sociopathic because I like that. What he's doing
No,
seems
he's
really
not-
empathetic.
no, he's diagnosed sociopath. Like he has been diagnosed.
Oh.
Well, they would if they diagnosed that, they'd probably say he had antisocial disorder. But I don't know. That's the weird thing with diagnosing people with that is like most of the time, psychology is about diagnosing behavior. We can't. It's really hard to diagnose intent. I mean, they try to, but most of the time when we talk about it, we're talking about someone's like behavior. And if you're not doing antisocial behavior, I'm not sure you can be. I don't know. Anyway.
All right. Any other comments about sociopathy or anything surrounding that or Clockwork Orange?
Also, don't be a sociopath in D&D because that makes you a murder hobo, and murder hobos are not good.
Or welcome in my campaigns. Just because
Kyle.
it's
Oh yeah.
less fun for everyone.
Yeah. Kyle, what was your emphasis?
character would do.
I know I hate that line so
well,
much.
that's fine that your character would do that, and the gods of the world would react by
Smiting you?
Yeah.
rocks fall.
Yeah,
every
Kyle,
god
what was your
survives
piece?
except for you. And I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Jasper. Sorry.
Go ahead.
What was your emphasis in psychology?
Well, I basically was like a minor in philosophy, but I would say I want to say depth psychology. That's what I would say, but a lot of people just laugh at that. I really like I guess if I were to put a name on it, it would probably be something like existential phenomenology. That's probably what I'm interested in.
Okay.
It's like a crossbreed between psychology and philosophy.
Alright, so you're probably a bit more rooted, or your studies were a bit more rooted in earlier psychology, like pre-Freudian type stuff.
I wouldn't say there's because I wouldn't say there really is a psychology pre-Freud or pre-Jung, and they coexisted at the same time
Right.
and talked to each other. So, like, I would say
That's where it was more like meta-analysis rather than like the.
yeah, I would say what I'm interested in very much is an intersection with like God, what was it called?
When I said meta-analysis, I meant like metaphysical. No.
Comparative
Anyway.
mythology. Yeah, it is. It does get into metaphysics. I think Jung and Freud got into a bit of metaphysics, and I think
They absolutely did. They absolutely did. And you can see it shift away from that as you get into more like Maslow and others who are more like getting into more
Behavior?
like concrete behavioral type stuff. And
yeah, and then behaviorism became so popular that psychology couldn't talk about anything else for like the next 30 years.
well, now we have CBT, which is like the
Yes,
yeah.
which I think is basically just like Greek stoicism made into like behaviorism form. And like
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with CBT philosophically because I think it's dangerously close to anything that we might be calling brainwashing. Very close.
determinism too.
Well, I think you could be deterministic without trying to manipulate people's behavior. Like you know, I think it is. I think it's weird, and I think that when people look at somebody who has a philosophy that's similar to that, they might misinterpret behavior wildly. Because I believe in determinism. I believe human behavior is very deterministic. I just don't think our response to it should be manipulation.
Makes
Like,
sense.
I think that if you can change some outcomes, there are ways of doing it that don't undermine someone's autonomy. As just because people don't have autonomy doesn't mean that I shouldn't, that I should have a heavy hand in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
So I don't know. It's complicated. This stuff
No,
is
of course.
really complicated.
And I think we're trying not to say too much, so that way we don't like turn our entire session into. But I get it. I mean, there's no. That wasn't me being ironic. Like I legitimately believe that you were intentionally holding
Yeah, absolutely.
phraseology and additional sentences back just because.
Definitely keep the
We don't
jargon
have
to a minimum so that the rest of us can
Yeah.
appreciate. I mean, I hope I don't just speak for myself, but it is interesting. But
Well, I'm glad
get
that
too
Prince
thick in
is
the
also
jargon,
not.
it'll just
I'm glad that the jargon and the sentences are minimal because it sounds like Prince's education has. He's gone beyond the undergrad. I only have my undergrad, and it's been a while.
I do not have a degree. I just read a lot.
I avoid reading. I avoid reading unless it's religious indoctrination. I eat that up.
Like I probably read like 90% in Freud have written,
Wow.
and they've written a lot. A lot of it just like them musing and stuff, but a lot of Jung's stuff is like him being terrified of losing his mind and having a gun next to his bed and like writing some weird book in a leather bound. I mean, Jung was wild. Like, I love the guy. He was wild.
Well, if you've read all of Freud's writings, almost all of them, I'm sure you're well acquainted with Freud's mother.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
2
You
minutes,
can't deny
and
it.
we'll cut this conversation. So just a
Yeah.
2-minute warning.
oh no, it's fine. We can cut it now. I'm also.
Yeah,
I said this to Taggart earlier. I'm in this weird state right now where like I have like insomnia, so I'm in like this twilight
Ew.
zone where I don't feel quite awake or asleep. So I'm not very great at like knowing what's appropriate, not appropriate. I'm a little bit nervous as well. I wanted to apologize. It just happens every once in a while. Like I just don't sleep well, and then I never feel awake. But anyways, that's it.
Good
I am
to
ready.
Apologize.
That's also probably why I'm rambling. I ramble more when I'm like this.
Oh, okay. I guess other people have to be tired in order to need to ramble.
Yeah. Well, everything's just more stream of consciousness, so it's like, I'm like, in that, they give people drugs for like lie detector tests that make them feel this way. To make them like, where like, there's very little time between like stimulus and response. You're just like, anyways.
Case in point.
Alright, let's go.
Alrighty.
I'm
So
gonna be quiet. I'm mute.
last time in Zelkir, all of you arrived in and prepared to go inside Fort Frolic. However, during the night, Jasper disappeared. It appeared as if he had gone into the city. However, as you were determining what to do next, several members of the party heard a voice with which they were unfamiliar. A voice, and perhaps you all can say what it is that you were able to gather about that voice. I don't want to accidentally say more than I did last time. Anyone?
Well, I didn't hear it, but from what I gather, it was like an annoying goblin that was trying to tell people about Jasper. Like, kind of, sort of, obsessively about Jasper. So I think he's probably been talking to Jasper for a bit. Maybe. Or maybe he's one of Jasper's henchmen. Anyways, those are my thoughts.
Naughty word. Reserved only for villains.
Is it, though? I feel like good people can have henchmen. I mean, as a bard, I feel like I don't want to throw my future self under the
connotations, that's
bus.
for sure.
Yeah.
Wounded.
What else were you guys able to gather about this voice that was prodding you to pursue Jasper into the city?
It was very based.
Was it? It might have been evil. It might be the Necromancer. I mean, so, anyways, I've seen this in a story before where the villain is close to. I'm gonna be quiet.
I had a lot of fun listening to everyone's feedback last session. Watching.
There's a
this play.
show I love, and there's a character called the Beast that does this. He talks telepathically to the party members, and a lot of the party members think he's a good guy because he helps out a lot, but he's just been manipulating them to an end that is not good. So, very much.
I would never do that with any of my players or with an NPC.
Okay, Tacker.
Right.
Right. So that's my sort of like meta idea about it, but I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay, well, there was a voice that was telling the party to pursue Jasper and go find him in the city, and refused to give any specific information about who he was, though he did say a few things about Jasper. I don't know if any of you remember what he said about Jasper. But
He said Jasper can't be manipulated, which makes me think he's tried. I don't know.
okay. Anyone else? Anything you want to drop in?
Of what happened last week?
About, yeah, I mean, I was going to continue, but if you want to give your own recollection, that works as well. I was just wanting to not say too much about that voice, because then I don't have to worry about accidentally saying things that I thought about but didn't share with you.
Yes, you shouldn't talk about it because you're going to give stuff away.
Yes.
I'm just theory. I have no idea. For anyone listening, I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, nobody does, except for one person. And I'm not going to say who that is.
That's Jasper.
Hey, it might not be Jasper.
No.
It could be someone else, and Jasper is being
It's
manipulated.
either Jasper or Prince.
It is not me. I just said it wasn't me. I'm thinking. My guess is Nomad. I think Nomad may know something. Out of character knows something. But
I know
Hey,
everything.
I do my absolute best as a DM to keep player knowledge here and character knowledge right here.
there's space between that sandwich.
There is, but it is a very small amount of space, and the less space there is, the more fun it is. I'll put it that way. I'll let you determine if that fun is my fun or your fun. But regardless, after interacting with this unidentified voice, the party decided to continue with their original plan and make their way into the city while following Jasper and his trail that he'd left behind. Sorry, my camera decided to not focus on me anymore. That's why I'm the DM, because I want to be the center of attention. Focus on me. Okay. Okay, so as you made your way into the city, you were greeted by a hawker who was selling pamphlets, giving descriptions of the city and some of the attractions and events that take place within the city. There appear to be several museums and lots of different things that really make this out to be more of a tourist town for people who want to learn more about Zelkier. The interesting thing, though, is that it appears that a decent chunk of the city is undead automatons created by the Necromancer Alexander. And as the party was investigating a little bit deeper into the city, they came across an unusual and curious building made of perfectly formed glass. Within the building was simply fog and several figures, which both Hestia and Nomad recognized. What appeared to be an ashen-skinned human child and an orc. After seeing these, the party gathered around and was approached by a dwarf. A dwarf who Gabriel seemed to recognize. though something was amiss. After a short amount of time, it became evident that this dwarf, whether alive or dead, was being controlled by Alexander, and was being used as a vessel to communicate with the party. So, that is where we will return to you all, as the dwarf, known at least, addressed by Gabriel as... Oh, let me get my notes back up. Addressed by Gabriel as Dagon, told you, I have an offer for you. I have something that you want. So, help me to preserve the history of all that Zelkier was, is, and will soon be, and I will give you something, things that are yours, that you desire. And with that, Dagon turned and began walking towards one of the nearby buildings.
So if I remember correctly, Nomad is on the ground, right? In front of this, glass monstrosity.
Not on the ground.
Well, I thought you were having, like, an emotional reaction, maybe, to it.
No, not at all. Staring at the one person with the blank face.
I know Hestia was having an emotional reaction, but that's as much as I'll say.
So right now, can you just describe what the last thing is?
The dwarf looked at you all and made you an offer. A cryptic offer. Do something for me and I will give you what you want. And then he turned and began walking towards a nearby building. After a few moments, you'll see him enter the door and close it behind him, apparently giving you no heed.
I'm going to send a sending to our dear wizard friend and ask him what he knows about was it a gnome or a dwarf named Dagon?
The party first? Or do you want to
Yeah.
just prepare sending to Mokelian?
I'll talk to the party first. Guys, I don't trust this guy, and I'm afraid that if we do help him, it'll be in a way damaging to our cause, as well as to... I would rather not help him
Well,
with what he's done.
the question I would have is, what is our cause exactly? I'm not against not working with him, because I feel as though there's a lot of reasons why people here, maybe not according to the mission, but there's a lot of reasons why people wouldn't want to work with him, and I'm kind of inclined to agree.
Agree to help him or to not help him?
Agree with you. I don't know what's going on with the people inside the glass, but I can't imagine that they're at rest. Like, this does not feel like they've met with the River of Souls properly. There's been no burial. There's no respect. I don't think that this is very respectful to the dead.
I'm not even sure how dead they are.
That's why I hedged the beginning of what I said. It appears I don't know what's going on here, so it's hard to say exactly where. Like the question I have to ask: were they killed by someone else and then preserved? Or like, because there seems to be
It
living.
seems like he promotes these types of actions if he's done lots of these displays all over this country. One which
Maybe.
we've already encountered.
Does a taxidermist, I correct my word
Taxidermist?
in your mind? Yes. Encourage the killing of animals by preserving the body? I'm not so sure. I don't know. That's
I think it depends on the taxidermist, and I would say he is one who encourages the killing of animals.
or
But then again, I am biased as my son is right there as one of his displays,
Then if your
which is
son is right there,
which is sickening and abhorrent.
then if your son is right there, then maybe we need to play along at least for a while to know if we can free your son, if we can free him as well.
All
We
I know
can-
is playing into his hand will not. If we just do worse by helping him, that is doing no good deed to my son or anyone else who he's hurt like this.
Then what
assuming
do you
that
suggest we do?
I suggest we find out information, send a sending to Volkellian asking what he knows about this man, and act
About
like we're playing along.
Alexander Cohen?
Yes.
there is one thing I would like to try to do to get a little bit more information on the spot, and I kind of already did it, so maybe I can get out of character, maybe I can get this information retroactively. But with detect magic, I should be able to like isolate or determine like specific auras of enchantment. And I was wondering if I could isolate one around like the preservation of dead bodies.
I can also try
You
and talk
could.
to the dead.
However, detect magic is blocked by thicknesses of different materials. And
Okay.
as you cast detect magic on there, you're not able to penetrate deep enough to be able to get any reading on anything within the building.
Okay, that's very good. There's probably a lot of enchantments to do this. Materials.
That is an understatement.
I'm speaking with the dead to get information from them.
You
We
will find
tried
a
that.
similar issue. Being that they are on the opposite side of the glass, they are largely unreachable to you, at least at the moment. And then, even if you could reach them, it would not be in such a way that you could hear them, more than likely.
Let's see.
I will say this in the occurrence that they might be dead, I think I would like to perform some sort of last rites. Even if they are not dead, I think that it would be. I know that maybe not everyone here is particularly religious or devoted, I should say.
Back in a
'Cause
moment, continue role playing. I just need to help the dogs that are barking.
I think it's appropriate to treat them as the dead until we know otherwise.
Nomad, are you still staring at the glass?
Yeah.
I am going to walk up to Nomad and ask him if it would be okay if I played a performance to allow the dead to rest properly. I don't want to assume that they're dead since you have an emotional connection to at least one person here. And I know that it is rude to sort of perform a funeral for someone who is not absolutely sure of being deceased. So, or anyone here for that matter who has a loved one in here. I don't want to do something be inappropriate for that.
Is there anything
Believe
that
me,
happened in
Prince,
the last
I'm
couple minutes that I
quite
need to be
sure
brought up to
that
speed
he's
on?
dead.
You're quite sure that he's dead?
Sorry.
Yes. And if he is alive, somehow, the rudeness is going to mean anything by me. So if you could do something like that, I would greatly appreciate your efforts.
Agreed.
Wait,
I,
with
I
what?
certainly wouldn't mind you trying.
Real quick,
Wait, trying what?
is there
I will let
anything that
Prince
just happened that
explain.
I need to be told about?
I was just asking whether or not it would be okay if I
Did a funeral, right?
If you don't need me to do anything, then the answer is no. You guys are totally fine to roleplay where I can't hear it. So
Okay.
Just
Well, it
needed
wasn't
to make
that.
Sure, if you had any questions or if I needed to know anything. So go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Continue.
All right. How close, out of character, how close am I to the area in which this Dagon is inside
The
a
building's
building?
like 15, 20 feet away.
Should I
Okay.
send a sending to Vocalion?
I think we maybe need more information how times you can do this. If it's something you can do often, then maybe we can do a before and after and tentative sort of thing. I just don't want to send him a sending saying, hey, there's this evil dude here, we're going to do something about it, and then
I
the
was going to ask him
circumstances
for
change.
any information of what he knows about this
Okay.
Cohen man. I assume if he does, it would be useful, and if he doesn't, we tried. He is a powerful. This Cohen guy is a powerful sorcerer, or whatever he is. In order to do this, we might need Vocalion's help in order to do anything.
That's true. Sure. You can do that while I'm performing the rites, or after,
Alright.
or before.
Alright, what should we say then?
Well, I feel as though if he had any, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the new information that we have, because I am sure that he is aware that these sort of museums are everywhere. So the only new information I can think of is that our friends are part of this experiment.
Well, we can tell him where we have arrived, who we've encountered, and ask him what he knows.
Okay.
What is the name of the city?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we were the ones that were supposed to get information on Owen, though, weren't we?
I am not.
I think we're
I'm not-
probably the more experienced with him than he is.
Yeah,
Unless, am I wrong? I can't remember if.
I'm not.
But
privy
that just sounds
to-
familiar.
Do you think we could do like a knowledge check?
Of what specifically?
Well, I'm
Of
not making
what
that.
Master Vocalion would know if he would even know of this area.
I can't do it. I don't think I've ever met him formally.
You can roll a d20 for that. The DC is probably going to be like 80 something to know what Vocalion knows.
Well,
No, I don't think it's what no Vocalion knows. I think it's whether it's appropriate to.
You
Are
want to
we-
know if you know of anything that he would know.
Are we the vanguard of knowledge when it comes to Cohen? That's
Roll
basically.
an intelligence check, one of you.
It's not me because I don't have. Yeah, I've never met the dude.
All we have to do is roll an intelligence to see if O'Kellion ever mentioned him before.
Yes.
We don't have to
yes.
go that far.
That I will allow an actual check for.
Or even the area. And
Hestia
what
rolled a 15.
Okay, so
for
Hestia,
intelligence.
you do not recall having a conversation with Vocalion about Alexander Cohen at any point.
What about the area, or what his expectations of us were around this area?
Nothing.
Alright, then I will ask him, because
Okay.
I think it's worth...
25 words. Go ahead and prepare your words, either yourself or as a group, and then go ahead and cast your sending.
What city is this?
Do you guys remember?
I don't remember ever being told a name.
It's been actually in text and in...
Oh wow, so I'm terrible.
Fort Frolic.
Frolic, yes, yeah. Actually, you have it right there. Sorry.
Alright. So I can say, Master Vocalion, we've arrived at Fort Frolic and encountered an Alexander Cohen.
Feel free to take time to parse down the sentence so that it can fit in less words. You can get more content.
Oh, yeah.
in. That is a very common thing with... Full sentences don't happen with the sending spell.
I'm gonna go
Other than
AFK for like 30 seconds. be right back. Go ahead and do it. If you...
Alright, we've encountered an Alexander Cohen. Some of our loved ones have been taken captive by him, seemingly undead. Do you have any information?
All right, I'm back.
Just let me know when you have the sending ready, and feel free to run it by the group and any other questions. 25 word max.
Alright, I'm gonna just post it, not to say that I sent it, but just so you guys can change whatever you want to it. Oh.
Do you have information? I don't know if that was over
Yeah,
the 25.
sorry.
No, I didn't
You
count.
just say any information.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna have to wait some time before it. Actually, this is instant, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know if he'll instantly have an answer, but all right, I'm cool with it.
Okay, so that's all you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, oops, wrong thing. Okay,
Hestia, are you still able to send another message after this?
I should be able to do...
you can also cram multiple questions into it.
Well, I think she may want to talk to someone else, maybe.
Yeah, I
okay.
do. Yes. I have other concerns.
Yeah, I should be able to
besides
send another sending. It'll just take one of my spell slots.
Okay, well, considering... How do I put this? Considering that so many of us have had loved ones captured, and I know for a fact Pietro will be looking for my uncle, I would like to get a message of warning out to him.
Can I do a spellcraft / knowledge check / whatever to know whether or not these messages can be intercepted?
They
Go ahead and
cannot.
roll a knowledge arcana.
You could also just ask me.
Well, there's no point in asking if I already know it. Oh, and that 20.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely know it.
everybody is
I can cast it up to 4 times.
very capable of correcting me if I'm wrong here, but to my knowledge as a DM, a sending spell cannot be intercepted in a way that it can be heard. I think you can detect it. They can be rendered inert. A sending spell cannot, for example, penetrate a dimensional anchor. And there are various other spells that will block a sending spell. However, I don't know of any way for a sending spell to be received by anybody other than the intended recipient. And
Okay.
neither can they be heard by anyone other than the intended recipient.
All right, well, I'm good with
at the
everything then.
location. Okay.
I was just checking to see if this was a good idea because I hate being ambushed and we keep being ambushed. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, if someone's watching you, it's not via your sendings. That's what you know for sure based on the knowledge check that you just got.
Well, I know Jasper's friend is probably mentally voyeuring us. But go ahead.
I mean, you did have him talk to you telepathically at least one time. If you want to make a knowledge check relating to telepathy, then you can do that as well. Since you brought it up, I'll bring that up. But while I'm writing up Wokelian's response, Malith and Hestia, if you want to decide what you're going to send with your sending, Malith, then now is a great time to do that. Prince, did you want to make a check about telepathy?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Go ahead. Let's call
Okay.
that. I'm gonna say knowledge arcana since it's a magical ability.
I'm not gonna take a 10 because I'm in a daring liminal state. So, I should have taken a
21.
10.
You'd still know that telepathy is not mind reading. It is effectively the equivalent of having a conversation like this, except that distance doesn't affect it as long as it's within range, and nobody else can hear it. Other than that, I can shout at you mentally if I have telepathy, and you can choose to not respond. And
Okay.
short of protections against that, you can't simply shut it out, to my knowledge. But there are means to prevent yourself from being able to be the target of telepathy.
I mean, if it's not harmful, then,
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's the same as somebody talking to you. You can choose to respond and you can choose to not respond.
Yeah, but I
they-
also assume that someone who has the power to talk to me via their mind might have other powers via the mind.
They may have other powers via the mind. The telepathy in and of itself does
Yeah.
not render the ability to read minds, however. That is a separate thing altogether.
Okay.
Although many things that will innately block the one will often block the other as well. So take that for what you will.
So, Malith, who did you want to talk to? I'm guessing you're talking about this openly with the party out of character, so I am.
So
Yeah.
I want to get a message out to my Uncle Amos.
Oh, yeah, you did say that, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, we can
I'm in
do
a
that.
weird Twilight state.
Yeah. I just typed it out, and it's exactly 25 words. Can I ask PM Hestia, or do I need to send it to everyone?
I think you'd have to tell it
Either
out
way.
loud.
Yeah, you'd have unless you wrote it down in character, and then in which case you could give it to Hestia, and then
Oh, no.
she
I
can
can-
send it to
I
me.
can tell her.
But yeah, so if you're wanting to keep it private,
You could
then
even whisper.
send it
No,
to
it doesn't
her
have
and
to be
send it to
quiet.
me. But
It
Okay.
does not. It does
Then-
not have to be private.
okay,
Then just post it
then
in
put it in
character,
the
I
chat
think.
so that I can put it up for, so that I can have the viewers get to see it as well.
Okay, just a second. Apparently, it's not letting me just copy and paste it, so I'm gonna have to retype it.
We can also put it in Discord.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, is put it in Discord, but it wouldn't copy and paste for some reason.
It's because you have a Macintosh. It is incapable of copy paste. That is a very complicated
It
thing.
doesn't like interfacing with anything else.
Well, I mean,
Absolutely sure.
I usually don't have a problem with copying and pasting on my Mac.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
No, Apple loves to interface with other Apple products, but as soon as you try to interface with anything else, it's like, what?
Yeah, it's because
I
they
always
want you to buy
regret it.
Apple products.
Exactly.
They're trying to monopolize. Honestly, I think it's verging on the case that they had against Microsoft for
Way back
introducing
when.
Internet Explorer as being a monopolizing sort of behavior. I think that they're being monopolistic, and
I
I
would
think
say
that's
they
probably
never had a
breaking the law.
case because Internet Explorer is so bad no one would use it on purpose.
They won it. They won the case.
I didn't say they shouldn't. I didn't say they didn't win it. I said I don't think they should have.
Oh, Netflix, not Netflix, Netscape. Sorry, the ancient Netscape and AOL. I think both won against Internet Explorer for being monopolistic behavior. But I don't agree with it either. I think the internet these days. I think everyone would agree that the internet these days is something that should not be gatekept.
Gate-kept.
Yeah.
It's.
I'm sorry, I rambled
think
again.
It's good to keep monopolies back, but I think that if you get too uppity on it, you end up creating monopolies instead of preventing monopolies.
Well, absolutely. Or you create something worse, oligopolies. People who can, companies that communicate with each other, but you can't really regulate them, so they're doing the thing that's worse than monopolies because you
That
can't really do
definitely
anything
doesn't
about it.
happen. Stop talking, otherwise Google will shut us down. Twitch, we didn't mean it. We didn't mean it. Everybody, please let your CIA agent know that we do not condone what Prince just said.
Well, I don't know.
I can do it.
I think the Seven Sisters oil companies, after they broke up Standard Oil, would be pretty. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm muting myself.
Okay, let me make sure I get this copied into my notes. Actually, I don't think I need to copy that into my notes. Okay. I'm gonna, just because it's quick, I'm gonna handle Malith's first. Okay, so from Letty with love, met Pietro, he and his servant Alexander Cohen, make him after you, take precaution, need to talk when possible, stay safe. The response is in hiding, don't trust Pietro, remember who you are, stay strong.
Oh no.
Was Malith ever strong? Anyways, I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
That's a joke.
Oh, shots fired.
Jasper just
Okay,
walks
wait,
right up.
did you say that in
and
character?
slaps
Did you say that in character? I need to know.
Well, I don't know. Did you tell him what your uncle said to you?
I mean, I would have said it where anyone could have heard, so...
Well, but the
sure.
response, though... Oh, that's right, because
Oh.
Hestia would have had to give you the response. Never mind.
Yes,
Yeah,
she would have had
so-
to say it out loud, so... So, was that an in-character remark?
Yes,
Sure.
The
Jasper
typical rule at
just
my table
comes
is
out of
if you
nowhere
said
and
it out loud,
slaps you
unless you
across the
opened
cheek.
it, unless you open a statement with, this is an out-of-character statement, I'm assuming that you say it in character. If it at all makes any sense.
I didn't mean to do it in character, but sure.
Maybe
It
Prince
is-
got just as little sleep as you did.
Yes,
Okay,
probably.
so can I cast Boiling Blood on him just to let my
okay. Okay. This doesn't need to get
allowed.
physical.
Yes, you can, if you wish.
Okay, I think I'll wish it.
Okay.
Jasper does not
Okay,
come
what
out of
is-
nowhere
I'm
and
trying
slap
to remember.
Prince.
Is there a save on Boiling Blood?
I don't know. Let
Probably.
me look at the description. I mean, I know it doesn't do much of anything, but that's the entire
This is
reason I picked
different
it.
than...
I think the
Boiling
only
Blood.
problem with it is I think it lasts for like a long time.
Concentration
Fortitude
plus
save.
1 round per level.
Hey, what?
Concentration plus 1 round per level, and it does 1 point of damage per round.
Oh, all right. So I'm gonna take what?
There's a
10
fortitude
damage?
save for it, though, so go ahead.
I'm sorry, are you actually doing this right now? You actually, is this a joke, or are you legitimately casting this on
She
Prince?
cast it.
Legitimately annoyed enough at Prince.
Okay. Oh, I rolled a 1, so I failed it anyways. That's all I roll today. 20s and 1s.
Okay, how long are you going to keep it up, Malith?
I guess what would be the equivalent of 1 round, just to do the 1 skill damage.
Okay, so for the next
It's gonna be the
minute and
equivalent
a
of
half,
attacking him.
Prince, for the next minute and a half, you are in not like excruciating pain, but you are severely uncomfortable, and you will take a total of 11 points of damage. Actually, yeah, let's just stick with that, even with the crit fail.
Okay. That's fine. I'm not gonna waste a spell to heal myself.
Maleth, listen to me. If I ever see you violently lash out against one of our companions again, I will go to Vokelian himself and see that you're removed from this mission. Do you understand me?
Profession. Actually, I'm gonna be quiet.
I have died, like, in this party for this mission, and then had my strength question. Maybe you could make this threat against the person provoking me.
I do want to say,
I'm not saying that Prince is faultless, but what you did was absolutely out of line. And you don't have a monopoly on suffering. We've all been through quite a lot.
that is very true. And Nomad is currently going through things, so I have no idea why I am joking in the first place. I apologize for that as well.
Thank
I would
you.
keep your mouth
Both
shut
of you
in
apologize
the future,
to
Prince.
each other now. And tell me why you're going to apologize. And then we can go and keep on doing whatever the heck we're doing.
Well, honestly, I just have moon brain because I haven't slept.
Okay. If
Out of
sleeping-
character.
I-
That's why
then-
I said it.
Did we already sleep in character? Like, do we need sleep as characters?
No, I am just. We're fine. I
Okay.
do need
Rested.
to.
It's the morning, isn't it?
Yeah, we're rested.
Well,
Did we?
apologize to each other. Do it.
I did apologize.
Okay,
Oh.
Malith.
I am sorry for overreacting.
It's okay.
Okay, are
I
you
do
cool
need to
now?
perform this funeral rites, though, if you guys would not mind.
Yes, please carry on with that, Prince.
Okay. So, I'm gonna play a song that Ashava would play when she was sad. Sad may be the wrong word. I don't know if gods feel quite what
Mournful, perhaps?
mournful. So I'm going to cast Summon Instrument. It's going to be a violin or fiddle, either one. And I cannot play the song through this, but just flavor. And, I have a song in mind. It is instrumental. I'm just going to post it in the in character chat, and you guys can listen to it if you want. It's just a violinist, and it's from... But I think that it's, like, thematically appropriate out of character. Anyways. So I strum the violin a little bit, just to get a feel of it. It's new. And I'll do a performance check.
Go ahead. But also, I'd like you to describe what you do, and if you say anything, what you say.
Well, first off, I'm wearing a cloak, so I'm gonna take off my cloak. I should have did this before the violin. I apologize. I'll put down the violin and I'll take off my cloak, and you guys will probably see for the first time that I have, like, I wouldn't call them tattoos, but like intricate sort of, like, I guess they are tattoos. And I guess if you were to describe them, they're like Varisian tattoos, which is, it's, and it's important thematically, but if you need to see what they look like, you can probably type in Varisian. I'm gonna double check if you can do this. Varisian Pathfinder. And their page should have people with tattoos on them, like on their arms and things, or you could just Google it and see the images. But I've got, like, tattoos that I don't know if I'd call them tattoos, but they're tattoos, and they're on my arms. I don't think you can see anywhere else because I have a tunic that covers the legs, obviously. And I'm gonna put the robe down and pick up the violin, and I am going to solemnly start playing the song at first. It does start out a bit slow and picks up pace. But in the middle of it, I do want to do something that is not... because it's going to be like a 4-minute song. But in the middle of it, I do want to do something, if you'll allow me to do it, Taggart.
What is it that you're wanting to do?
I want to, in the middle of the performance, since the performance is 4 minutes and a round is like 6 seconds, in the middle of it, I want to turn the performance into a counter song. I mean, 30 feet of a dude that may be potentially controlled by supernatural means. I don't know if that is a language-based supernatural means, but I am going to do it and hit everybody in 30 feet just to see. Okay. I'm going to use one round. And I'm also going to songbird it. I'm going to songbird, which is a...
What does the songbird do when you use that?
It's a swift action spell. I kind of wanted to do this at the beginning of the performance, actually. But I guess songbird, it does... You conjure uplifting music from the wilds of Elysium, Heaven, or Nirvana. I'm going to do Elysium since I personally have visited there and come from it, and that's actually where Ashava. That's too much. But yes, Elysium. If you cast it during the same round as a performance check, you get +3 on the performance check, and you don't use up one of your bardic performances to start the performance, and it increases the DC of any sonic or language-based spell that is cast and accompanying with it. But I'm enhancing...
It increases the what of any spell cast with it?
The DC of any sonic or language-based spell. So, like, if I can cast it...
It's going to make it stronger and harder to resist, or in the case of...
Yeah, but also flavor-wise, it conjures music from Elysium. And what I want to do with it, if it's possible, is give my violin a sort of electric hum, since the song that I gave you guys was played on an electric violin. I want to get as close to that performance as possible. And I want to use the music of Elysium to maybe do that, if that's possible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, pretty much, as Prince is playing this song, and he's doing these funeral rites for the lost, the feeling in the air around you changes just for a few minutes, and you can feel a sorrow in a way that you have never felt it before.
I also want to do the performance check and align with this, because if I get over a 30, that means that it can maybe be heard by the gods. So
go ahead. Is that a Pathfinder thing, or is that a 5th edition thing?
That is a Pathfinder thing.
Oh, okay.
If you perform in a city, you can get paid for it, and there are rankings that will say who notices.
Yeah, go ahead. Make the performance check.
I did. It's a 32.
Okay. So here's what you all are seeing and feeling. As this dirge is playing, and you're just feeling this overwhelming melancholy for the lost, what comes to your mind is not only those before you, but all that you have lost so far on your journeys. Many of you have lost different, loved ones, family members, friends, and for a brief moment, you remember the good times as well as the pang of loss of them. And you also feel, for the moment at least, a slight connection to your companions, and recognize the strength of the bond that you have gained, at least up until now. And so as this dirge is playing, you feel an almost electric connection together. The air around you shimmers for a moment, and as the song begins to end, you have a level of peace that you haven't felt in a long time. A sense not that everything will be okay, necessarily, but that you will be okay with however anything plays out. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Prince, description-wise, or anything that you would do?
No, that's perfect. Give me like 10 seconds. There's something I'm thinking about doing with the performance that...
And don't get too bogged down into any mechanical things. You brought up that you're doing a counter song somewhere in there.
Yeah, but I also want...
Anything, like, don't get too deep into the details.
Yeah, no, I'm... Right, I was going to, No, I'm not gonna do it. Alright, that worked.
How will we know if it worked, Prince?
We don't. Music or performances rather, are kind of like a form of prayer. And in this sense, the the way I'm using it right now, I think it is kind of a prayer. Um, and I hope that where wherever Ashava may be listening, she's dancing to this because that's what she likes to do. And I hope that she can do something. I don't know what she would do because I don't know the situation. Maybe she does.
Well, regardless, I do appreciate the thought. Charlemagne, what do you think about our current situation?
Didn't he? Sorry, out of
Did he?
character. I thought he left.
No, he's with you. It was Tiffany that
Okay.
left.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Charlemagne starts as you address him, Nomad. He was looking down at the ground and has a very pensive look in his eyes. And as he looks back up at you, he glances at Prince with a newfound respect in his eyes, and then returns his gaze to you, Nomad, and says, "Throughout the years, I have lost many friends, and I don't know exactly what you're going through right now, but I feel as if the souls of the lost are called forward, called to rest. And with everything that has happened here in my homeland for the last few months, I feel a hope that I haven't in a long time. A hope that this isn't in vain, that even if we fail, it is not the end."
I agree.
Hestia, as you are...
Also,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
the counter song I played, I guess we'll know when we know. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh. Actually, that's a good point. I'd forgotten about that.
What's up?
Hestia, as this was all going on, you felt a deeper connection to the souls of your husband and your son than you have at any point except for during some of the dreams that you've had recently. And as the song fades, that feeling of connection does not fade. Or at least it fades much, much slower. You almost feel as if they're both standing just out of sight, nearby.
Can I try to speak with Dead?
Yes, I will allow you to do that right now.
Alright. I probably won't be able to hear them, but might as well try. Sorry, I'm looking for... I'll cast it on my son.
Okay.
Or I guess if my husband's there, and I can
You
feel
can feel
him.
you feel close enough to both of them at the
I
moment.
will talk to my husband because I don't think he's behind a wall of glass, and my child is a kid. So
At the moment, you're not going to be hearing or speaking to their bodies the way that you normally would with speak with dead. Given the
Okay.
circumstances, you have more of a proximity to their soul, or some level of connection there, that allows you to speak to them in a way that you normally could not.
okay, so I could speak with Haunt then. That is better.
I mean, that's going to be roughly the same, is it not?
Yeah. Okay.
So you get 5
Yeah.
questions.
Okay.
After which your real son is also calling for you.
I'm going to ask. Hello, my love. What do you know of Alexander Cohen?
My love, I have never heard the name before. I know nothing.
How did you die?
I was taken by bandits. And after I had served my use to them, I was slain.
Was our son slain around the same time?
The journey and the work were too much for him, and he perished shortly before I did.
Are you guys at peace? My guess is no. But worth asking.
Peace, we have none. Anguish, we have none. I know nothingness.
Where is your soul being kept?
Within a cage that I have never seen the like of before.
Do you know where that is?
Is that 5 questions or 4? I think that was 5 questions.
Okay.
As,
Well,
as your
can
connection
I
with him
cast
begins...
it again?
Okay. The connection to him is beginning to fade, so I will allow you one more question.
Okay. What would you have me do to find you and our son a restful death?
Free us.
Okay. And you said that it's being kept in a trap. That's what you said.
A cage the like of which he has never seen before.
Okay.
Wait, what is it? What's being kept in a trap? Sorry.
His soul,
Oh, okay. Like,
like a cage.
I guess a knowledge check, like a phylactery?
Go ahead and make a knowledge check. Knowledge. And it's going to be Arcana again, isn't it?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well,
Actually,
would
no,
Oh, and
knowledge
that's
Prince
religion.
know?
Knowledge religion, but I'll let that 20 carry through.
Would Prince
I have a
be able
higher
to-
knowledge religion, actually, because sorry, go ahead.
Well, would Prince be able to make that roll? Like, do we know what Hestia's saying in that converstion?
Yeah, I would be
Yeah, she's
speaking
speaking
out
out
loud.
loud.
Okay. Well, I would ask Hestia. Is it just them, or are there many other souls with them?
My dear DM, what souls do I see?
You don't see anything. You feel only those with whom you were acquainted. So you can't say, but Prince, you know that at least
It's also a 40 because I
conventionally,
have more knowledge related.
conventionally, a soul gem is what is typically used to house a soul that is trapped. There may be other methods with which you are unaware, but that is the most common.
Okay.
Although typically a soul gem holds only one soul, and from what Hestia described, that may not be the case.
So it seems as though, I'm not saying this out loud, but
Okay.
just it seems as though these people might actually be able to be revived, maybe. I mean, if their souls are somewhere and not in the river of souls or whatever, then I don't know. Anyways,
Hey, that's the hope. But we're going to be looking for a phylactery.
that's what you would call it. I think that's like the technical term for a
Phylactery
soul
and
gem.
soul gem are different things.
They are really.
Yes, at least
It's like Horcruxing, right? They're both Horcruxes.
I mean, I'm not familiar with the term Horcrux outside of Harry Potter.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
A
well,
Horcrux.
okay, because the thing is a soul gem holds onto a soul. A phylactery is a focus for something like a lich. And that's something you would know, being that you brought that up, I'll carry that in with your nat 20.
Okay.
Is that a phylactery can hold a soul, but in a different way than a soul gem. A soul gem is more of a prison and a tool.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, because you can talk to something that's in a phylactery. Like, at will. It can just exist. So this is more of like a prison. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, soul gem is a prison. Okay. Alright, then after that, by the way, Prince, go ahead and take a hero point for that.
Thank you.
That was very...
Wait, what do they use for again? I can use it
a
to
guaranteed
do a net.
nat 20, or if you want to bend the rules a little bit, within reason.
Okay.
But pretty much line up all chance towards success in one action. It doesn't let you do something that's impossible anyway. But it could let you do something that is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I just need to get a Vorpal weapon. Sorry, go ahead. I shouldn't say that.
Well, no, I already have specific rules and limitations.
Oh yeah, you told me. You told me. Yes, you can't use it on a Vorpal weapon because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, what do you guys do next? As the music fades and as Hestia's words to her husband fade, as well as his response, the peace that you felt remains, though the world slowly begins to return to normal and the regular hustle and bustle of this city return to normal.
Well, I think that we should hear Cohen out.
Agreed.
There isn't any harm in hearing what he has to say for us.
As long as we don't go in trusting him and being wary. Sure.
Of course we're going to be careful.
Hey, it won't hurt to check.
Alright, I will start heading towards, Cohen, or where we last saw him.
Well, if that wasn't Cohen, it was Dagon, right?
Oh.
He introduced himself.
He
as
introduced
Cohen.
himself, yeah.
I think the only person who referred to him as Dagon was Gabriel.
Okay. But you said that in the opening, and I was a
Yes.
bit confused because I actually didn't remember that, so I was rolling with it.
Also, I forgot Vocalian's response to the sending would have been the following: Alexander Cohen, notable historian, eccentric, known Necromancer. No known necromantic connections. Highly illegal. Deeper into caverns seeking dragon. Zelkar. Have care.
Do we all know this? Or actually, sorry.
Good question.
I'll wait. Hestia. I think it's up to you. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I'll say it out loud.
Okay, dokie.
Can you type that out just so we can have it in the
Yes,
ink?
I will send it to the chat.
So it sounds like he is an established member of this community, probably even a celebrity of sorts, which does not bode well for us because trying to accuse such a person of wrongdoing in a position of social power is often difficult. I think this is true for princes as well.
We don't have to accuse him to be able to find out whether he's holding souls captive.
Well, we have to find some way of getting in his presence or
Wait,
investigating him.
You said he was like, well respected?
Yes, he's a notable historian. Which
Well, he doesn't seem well respected. I think everybody fears him, but I wouldn't exactly say they have respect for the man that's parading abominations around like this.
The message said that there was no known necromantic connections by someone who is actively investigating.
He still is the curator of all of this.
Yes, we know that. Yes, we know that.
Yes, so he is not respected.
Not with us. But in general, the way society...
These people... What do you mean? These people in this town don't respect him.
Do they know him? Do we know that they know who he is and what he is doing and that what he is doing is wrong?
Do you remember last session, the woman that I talked about? Okay, regular people are going to think what he's doing is wrong. Okay? This town doesn't agree with him. They're here because it's safe. They're left alone. You know, this is safe for them in this fallen continent of Zelkir.
Yes,
but it's not because they're not here because they respect him and they love him. And that
but you said an essential word. You said an essential word. You said this continent. We are talking about a city right now. Yes, the people of this city, maybe some of them are aware of what this guy is doing. But if this guy is a notable historian and
he's made no attempts to hide what he's doing in this city.
Yes,
but it seems like he is incredibly proud of it and wants people to promote it.
Yes, but out of character, we do not have the internet.
I don't even get what your point is.
My point is that if the guy who just told us about him is someone who is actively investigating undead in this continent and fighting them, and he is not aware that Alexander Cohen is doing bad things, just that he's a notable, probably famous, eccentric necromancer. You know, he did say it's highly illegal to do necromancy, but like he doesn't know that he's actually doing necromancy. We know that because we came across a town, and we were. I'll use a phrase I used earlier. We're on the vanguard of knowledge. I feel like what he just told me gives me the sense that the world does not know that Alexander Cohen is doing bad things. That's what I got out of it. I don't know if it's correct, but that's what I got out of it.
Okay.
Which is a problem, because it makes trying to get close to him and potentially killing him or stopping him or circumventing what he's doing very difficult. Especially since, and I'm assuming I know this now, he's using a proxy, right? Dagon is a proxy. Do we know that?
I don't know. Gabriel, have you made that clear to everybody else? I know you mentioned that out of character, but I can't remember.
Mention what, that Dagon is a friend?
Yes.
No, but I can.
Well, no, then I'll take back what I said. I was assuming that you had. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you better be.
Okay, so what do you do?
Kidding.
Kayla's having internet issues, so she'll rejoin when she can completely.
She's blipping in and out of consciousness.
Yes, again.
For a second, I thought that was Prince leaving after I told him he should be sorry.
Oh no! I am not that emotional of a person.
Okay, so what do you do?
Well, regardless with everything that's been happening, I don't think it would be too out of left field if we told people that he is doing some messed up stuff, especially knowing that this continent is almost all but fallen. I don't think that it would be too crazy of a story to accuse him of something like that, especially when there is rampant proof of his work and that he has also signed his work as well. He's pretty much done all of the work for us. He's literally not made it hard at all to find these exhibits, to sign his name to them, to show what he's done. The man is clearly mentally disturbed. But
And-
regardless, let's go and hear him out.
Yeah. All right.
All right, I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Not knowing that what Gabriel knows, I have nothing to say to that. I actually agree with you. I'll say that. I agree. Go
I'm
ahead,
gonna. As soon as I get the hint that Nomad is like yeah, let's go. I'm just gonna walk fast over to Dagon and just be like, all right.
Okay, so you
all right, good.
you go.
He's in a
into the
building,
door.
right?
Yeah, he's in a building. So as
Yeah.
you go to the building, the door opens easily. You don't there. It's not locked, barred, or anything. And as you go inside, you see the dwarf sitting at a table that has a chair set for each of you and one additional chair. So 6 chairs down. And as you approach it, you can tell that you're inside of what has become an inn. There are a number of other people around, though they ignore Dagon as he is sitting, and they tend to ignore you because of your apparent association with him. As well, there are a couple plates that have been brought out with food on them, placed at each of the chairs, and there are 2 moderately sized containers on the table. And so
I'm gonna
Gabriel,
follow.
You
I'm gonna
you
follow
sprint
Gabriel.
forward to get into the door, and Nomad comes in quickly behind you. And as you all get inside, that is what you see. There's 2 containers, one probably about 2-3 feet long, and made of wood, and then the other probably another foot longer than that.
As I walk in, being the arrogant fool that I am, I still have the violin. I'm a purposely blip it out of existence, like desummon it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna look around the room to see if I get a sense that people heard the music and how they feel about it. Just very quickly, like 10 seconds, just what is the feeling of the room?
Somber.
Okay.
Somber and reserved.
Go ahead, sorry. I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt.
no,
Continue.
that's it.
Gabriel, I think you're up. You're walking in to talk.
Yeah. Sorry. So I'll walk in. I'll go sit closest to Dagon. Moving my chair to point towards him. I'll sit down and say, all right, I'll hear you out, but I also want to know how I can get my friend back.
For a moment, he ignores you, Gabriel, and he looks towards Prince and says, "A rousing display. Quite a lot of talent that you have. I appreciate a man of art."
It wasn't art in this case, but thank you.
Some
I-
may not see it as such. But I believe that it's when someone creates beauty, when someone creates meaning, that is art. Something that you and I have in common.
If hold on. Out of character,
shit.
I'm trying to figure out if I want to insult him or not.
He gestures.
Okay,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I will say I appreciate your candor, and I am glad you consider me to be at least in the same ballpark as your work. Thank you. And
Do you need to
if
make a
anyone,
bluff with that?
what I really want to do
Do you
is I
need
want to
make a
aim.
bluff?
I want to aim the bluff at my party members to show them that I'm not being completely sincere. Can I do a double bluff? I want to.
Roll
I don't
a
know
bluff
how.
check to how well you kind of portray this. That you don't give your party the wrong idea, but you also lie tactfully to Alexander.
I don't know how. You figure out the DC on this yourself. Hold on. Bluff. I can
That's
use
how I
comedy.
always do things.
All right. All right. Well, here we go. I'm gonna roll my. This is gonna be a high check. I'm good at this. 37.
He doesn't appear to react to you, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. As he nods to you, and then he looks to the rest of the party and gestures towards the two containers on the table and says, "I understand that these belong to you." A gesture of good faith on my part.
Is he talking to me or
He's talking
to Gabriel?
to all of you.
I'll walk over
What-
to the containers to look
So
inside.
they are closed wooden containers.
Okay.
They don't appear to be locked or anything.
I will hesitate then. I didn't know that they
but
were
they
sealed.
are on the table. Did you guys sit at the table, or what would you have done?
I think Gabriel sat, but anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
There's places set for each of you, and then one extra one, and then the two containers are just there on the table.
I will sit down then. During that conversation where he was talking to me, I would make my way to sit.
I'll
I
stay
will
standing.
say, I'll give a nice courtly bow. I would say, thank you for inviting us, Mr. Cohen.
I'm glad everyone picked up on my bluff. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
And I will walk right over to one of the boxes and open it.
The longer one or the shorter one?
Longer one, I guess.
You open it up, and within it there is a leg.
That is a Jake's.
I would move to the other box and open that one.
There is an arm. Roughly about from the elbow up. A woman's arm. Skin
It's
very,
my arm.
very close to Hestia's in color.
Oh my god, we're going full metal. Anyways. Getting back your arms and legs.
I will.
No strings
just
attached, or just a show of good faith?
Is there a difference?
I'll growl at him a little bit.
I came into possession of these, and I am a collector, you could say, and when I see things within which I can sense opportunity and potential, I seek to preserve them.
So answer my question. Strings attached or no strings attached?
As you can say, they are not attached to anything.
Sorry, out of character.
So if I grab this,
Sense
would you
motive.
expect anything of me?
Go ahead with your sense motive. His response to you, Hestia, is, as I said, I wish to make a proposition.
I also want to roll sense
You-
motive.
Help me, and I will help you. This
Um,
is merely the first offering that I have for you, as a show that I am more than just talk.
Well, I appreciate your kindness, Mr. Cohen. I will put the covers back on the boxes. I will slide them towards their respective owners. The leg to
Well,
Jasper and
Jasper's
the
not
arm
with
to
you.
well,
guys
Jasper's
at the
not
moment.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not? Oh, okay.
No.
Then I will keep the box then. I will
Okay.
just hold on to it.
I do have a question on. I want to do a sense motive, but you said my sense motive, since it's oratory, I have to be speaking. Is there
If
enough
you
of my
want to be able to
speaking?
use perform with it. For everybody else, I'm going to do your sense motive first. Hestia, you're not able to really get anything from him with your sense motive. Actually, I'm just going to jump straight to Melis. You got a nat 20 with your sense motive. He definitely wants something from you, and he's priming you. But he doesn't seem as if he's manipulating you beyond that.
I'm going to turn to him and look at him and say, it seems that you're trying to sow some goodwill between us. I wonder if this is genuine, and I'll say that to his face.
Frankly, I do not care if it's genuine. What I care is that there are ways that you can help me, and I have come into possession of things that I understand that you desire.
All
I
right, sense
propose
motive.
simply a trade.
I'm going to say, since you haven't specifically said what you wanted, I'm going to assume that there is no contract tied to my arm, so I will take it now and go.
You're leaving, or you're just grabbing the arm?
I will grab the arm, give him an opportunity to speak, and
He gestures.
down.
He gestures to the table. Please, have a seat. I would discuss with you arrangements.
I'm sure you would, and I remain standing.
Let's not be curt, Estia. We should hear the man out at least, especially after such a gesture.
Yes, he did give us gifts. Valuable gifts, too, I will say.
I narrow my eyes, but I'll sit down.
Also, just so everybody knows, when I started laughing, that was definitely 100% out of character. Because I knew immediately what that was.
So,
I gotta hand it to you. This was a nice gift.
Well, let's keep going. Taggart, break a leg.
Yes. I'd rather not. We already took it off earlier. So,
What sort of liquid's on the table, by the way? Sorry.
excuse me. So the meals on the table look simple, but it looks to be fowl of some sort, possibly chicken, and then it looks like there's wine that's been brought out for each of you.
Wine?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take this opportunity to just cast Tears to Wine on our liquid, the wine that we're drinking, the party members
Okay.
are drinking.
What does that do specifically? I am not familiar with the spell off the top of my head, and if you can explain it first, then I won't bother looking it up.
Sure. It turns any liquid, but it can turn things like unholy water or any sort of decaying or spoiled liquid into basically what is essentially like a wine mead potion, and regain a +2 enhancement bonus to all intelligence and wisdom based checks for 10 minutes per level. It becomes a +5 bonus at caster level 9, so it does. It's a +5 bonus to enhancement bonus to intelligence and wisdom for 90 minutes.
Okay, perfect. No, it's going to be 100 minutes because it's 10 minutes per level and y'all are level 10.
Oh, right. Sorry, I moonburn.
Yeah. So, the dwarf smiles knowingly as you do that, and he says, I don't ask you to trust me, beyond understanding that what I promise to deliver, I will deliver if you give to me what I require.
Do you have any references on that? That you actually deliver your promises?
I believe that if you grasp long enough, you may come up with an answer to that question, my dear. But for now, you will have to take my word for it. And understand that my goal is simply to preserve Zelkir. To preserve the memory of it. All that was, is, and will be. And as he says that, by the way, that the was, is, and will be, it sounds very performed, very practiced, almost like a catchphrase sort of thing. And I mean, you've heard it and seen it in a number of places up until now, so it doesn't surprise you, but it almost comes across like a slogan, the way that he says it.
A trademark.
Yes. And he says, there are a number of exhibits that I have not yet finished here within Fort Frolic. In fact, I would ask that you assist me in acquiring the models necessary to complete these exhibits.
Why do you need us to assist you? Can't you do it yourself?
Surely you have friends in other places.
Clearly you have access to a lot of stuff if you've built that glass artwork.
I am assisting in creating a memory of Zelkir. A Zelkir that was not built by me, nor was it ever built by only one person. Man, woman, or even dragon. No, the creation of a country is done by the society that lives within it. And I believe that all should have the opportunity to contribute to the art created to memorialize such a great land as this. So I offer both for my own reasons and as an opportunity for you to contribute. The opportunity
That is... Oh, sorry.
for you, and he gestures to all of you, to help me with this. To preserve the memory of the late Queen and our newest King. And if you do so for me, then I have something which I can give to you. Some of which was on display for you to see, to catch your attention, and help you know that I do, in fact, have what I profess to have.
You said a couple things that were interesting to me. The first one is you said that you were trying to preserve the history of what Zelkir is or was, and I want to put emphasis on that was because it seems as though Pietro is trying to make Zelkir into something very different. And if you are concerned with the preservation of your society, should it not just be in the abstract? Should you not also have a problem with Pietro as he changes the society in which you cherish?
I think he more merely means to catalog, not exactly preserve the current society, or the society that was.
Well, let him talk. I want to see how he feels about Pietro.
The dwarf nods towards
of course,
Nomad and says,
I apologize for speaking for you, Mr. Cohen.
I care little for the petty squabbles and conflicts between those who inhabit this land. All tend to pass, little by little. But the Zelkir that is coming will be a Zelkir that will last. That is something I can appreciate. A work of art. A beautiful tapestry that will last through the eons. A Zelkier which not only will I be able to be a part of, but which will always remember that which came before, and always appreciate that which was and is.
I have an out of character question for everybody, including Taggart.
Do you want to save that for when we do the intermission and do character questions?
No, I think it's relative. It's relevant for
to
what
right
we're
now?
talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Do we know about? Do I know about what you guys read in those documents about how the people of the main city are being drained as a form of punishment? Have you guys communicated that at all to the rest of the party?
That's between Hesty and I, and
Yeah.
I think it would have made sense to communicate that as we were
We
traveling.
didn't. Did we actually communicate? I don't remember. That's what I'm
Well,
asking.
it wasn't communicated, but I think what you're saying, Gabriel, is that you would have in your conversations prior
Yeah,
to coming into
agreed.
Frolic.
Because it
Yeah.
was a bit of a travel, so I think that is then I will say it may be something that will last, but it seems as though if you are making more vampires and continually draining the population, eventually one section of the population will cease to exist, and the only thing that will exist will be vampires and undead. And you seem to, at least on the surface, be interested in the... You said you're not into the petty squabbling, but you seem interested in human history. It seems as though you are a notable historian. And presumably, if what is going on continues, human history will be finished. There will be no human history after long. I mean, how do you feel about that?
He smiles and says, "We shall see. Now, on to business. The exhibits. The models that I need. Are you interested? Are you willing to engage with me in exchange for those that I understand you care about?"
These bodies that you need, where exactly are we getting them?
That is up to you, though I will say I prefer not to have any destruction or decay on my models. A level of repair is possible, but it maintains the proper feeling, the more accurate and true to life the models are, as they embody the truth of their reality, perceived or otherwise. So, procuring them, that is your affair. However, I do have certain requirements. I will need a number of models for 2 exhibits specifically. The first is to memorialize the late Queen. I have the rest of the exhibit complete, but I need several models, most notably one for the Queen herself. She is to be middle-aged, potentially a bit older, but an older woman with longer hair, some shade of blonde, if at all possible. She needs a stern but motherly look in her eyes. For the Queen, and actually let me pull up her name because he would actually call her by her name here. The Queen Elora Damadred was known both for her strength, but also for uniting Zelkia and preventing a civil war. The model that you find must embody that. Someone strong, capable, but able to be tender. In addition, two subjects to be in the exhibit with her, showing her obeisance and representing both sides of the conflict that she quelled. They need to be native to Zelkia. Do you have any questions on that exhibit and what I require?
So basically, you're asking us to grab people that are still alive so that you can preserve them.
I think
That's
you
your.
mean a dead body, right? That's how I. Does it matter if it's living or dead?
It doesn't matter how it comes to me, though fresh is important.
Alright, I am.
How about your own mom?
He
Enough,
smiled.
Hestia. We are here at his behest. We should not be rude.
My predecessors are not currently among the living. And besides, I don't believe that she was similar enough to the Queen to have worked as a model anyway. Perhaps you will find someone more suitable within the walls of this city. But again, that is your affair.
I
promise, if you bring me these 3 models, I promise you the bodies of your friends that you saw on display earlier. For those that I have elsewhere, I require a different task. A different exhibit. One memorializing the great liberator, King Pietro. Now,
sorry.
him, the task is perhaps a bit more interesting. Because nothing will quite carry the look as a true vampire. And so I will need a model of, again, 3 to 4 vampires. Fresh as possible, though getting them here in corporeal form may prove difficult to an extent. Again, I leave that up to you. If you can bring me 1 vampire, that could suffice, and I will provide to you the bodies of the others that I understand are your kin. But if you are able to bring me more, then perhaps we can make an arrangement for something a little bit more substantive of your families.
Done. Sorry.
He ceases to speak.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. The first question. It seems as I am perfectly willing to help out my friends here, but I will point out that I do not have a loved one in that case, which is sufficient. I mean, helping out my friends is sufficient. But I also, if you had any connections to someone who could, since I arrived in this continent, I have not been wearing what I would like to wear traditionally. So I was wondering if you had access to fine tailors or craftsmen who could make something for me.
Would you like something authentic?
And
he has a bit of a... You notice a bit of a grin as he asks you.
I don't know what you mean by authentic, but
Look around. You may find that you know better than you think you do. But you will find many capable craftsmen here. I invite all who are creators, craftsmen, and artists here to Fort Frolic. I welcome my own kind, as you might say.
And the second thing, from what I understand about vampires, it is very hard to dispense of one without damaging its body extensively. So we are unlikely to find a dead vampire body, if such a thing can be said to exist at all. And
Oh, there are no dead vampires here in Fort Frolic.
so what
But
you
will
are
find
effectively
some that are otherwise.
what you're effectively asking us to do is not to kill a vampire, but to subdue one so that you can suspend it in forever, presumably. And I'm not actually sure suspending it will kill it. So you're asking us to imprison
Do
a...
not worry about what happens on my end of things.
Yeah, but
I promise to deliver
subduing
you what I
a
promised.
subduing a vampire is an extraordinarily difficult task. I mean, killing one, sure,
If
but
it is beyond you, then
No, I did
understand.
not say that. I did not say that. I'm merely saying you're asking us to do something monumental for what you're calling art. I think you're asking more than you think you are.
I'd agree with that.
You assume much
And
for one who
how
knows
is
so
Pietro...
very little.
What is Pietro going to feel about this? Are we going to run into any problems with your friend? Can you communicate to him and tell him that we're doing something on your behest? Sorry, I don't know if that last part. Doing something on your behest.
He
Will
raises
he
his
know?
arms and offers a little smirk. Perhaps he will never be aware. Regardless, I ask only that you deliver what I have requested. Give me the models that I need, and I will do the work necessary to memorialize what Zelkior is becoming.
Well, maybe it won't be so bad for a vampire. I'm sure their time on display will be temporary, and being the immortals that they are, it may not be as detrimental.
Perhaps. Regardless, what say you to my proposition? Do you accept?
I'm gonna look around the room. By that I mean, whoops. By that I mean, look at you guys to see how you're feeling about this.
Before I accept, can I speak with my friend?
He looks down at his body and says, I regret that at the moment that is not possible.
I need to understand. Why is it not possible?
You wish to speak with your friend, but what your friend is not here. This vestige of what he once was, that which I found of him, is separate from that which remained. While I was able to retrieve more than you see here, you must understand that what you wish to speak to is not currently accessible to you. And in some ways, not currently accessible to me. Not without effort that I don't feel inclined to put forward at this time.
But let me guess. With perhaps some incentive, you might feel motivated to do that.
As I said, if you're able to bring me more than just one vampire, if you bring me enough for the exhibit to represent Pietro and his closest followers, then you'll find that I am quite amenable to giving you all that I have that might be considered yours, whether directly or indirectly. I mean no subterfuge. I have no intention of pulling the wool over your eyes. I am being quite open and quite honest with you, with all that I'm offering, leaving out certain details that are not pertinent at the moment. But you'll find
I certainly
that I am
don't.
quite willing
Go
to
ahead.
give you all that I have, if you will but help me in preserving Zelkir. He looks to you, Nomad. You were saying?
I certainly have no doubt of your honesty, Mr. Cohen, but unfortunately I believe that the price is too high. Maybe we'll reconsider in the future,
Many
possibly.
do.
But I do appreciate you giving us your time. And I won't begin to stand up if no one else is trying to interject. Stand up and walk out, I mean.
I'll walk out as well.
You have 4 days, after which I will need to look into other means of procuring the models that I require. And if I have no use for you, then it may be that I have no use for that which I possess. It would be a shame for my collections to go to waste. But so be it.
You do what you gotta do.
Before I get up, I will
Indeed,
ask him.
Mr. Cohen. If you think a threat like that is going to work on me, I'll just laugh and turn around.
I'll just spit on the ground and walk away.
I appreciate your offering, Hestia. Or I guess no, he wouldn't know your name. I appreciate your offering, madam.
Before I get up, I will ask him, do you, if we, I'm assuming that you are going to be whatever you're doing to this Dagon for the foreseeable future, but, where, if for whatever reason we cannot contact you, where is it that we can, I mean, I'm assuming you're in the main city, if you're a notable historian, as I have heard.
None can come to Fort Frolic without being within my sight.
Okay. So you have other means of communicating, is what you're saying.
Provide for me what I require, and I will give you all that you desire. And for some of you, though I do not have anything quite so personal, you'll find that I have answers and knowledge to which you may not be privy. But regardless, you are welcome here in Fort Frolic. Enjoy your stay. Enjoy the exhibits and the history of what Zelkir is.
I will say thank you and get up and follow Nomad out.
Did any of you eat any of the food?
I drank wine.
Okay.
I would have drank the wine, but yeah, I wouldn't have
I
touched
didn't
the
touch
food.
it.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I did the wine, to make sure. to give us a bonus and to make sure that we weren't being poisoned or whatever.
I actually drank some dwarven ale instead of wine, like from my own flask.
Okay. I'm just trying to give you guys skill bonuses.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Hey, we're not going to get
Keep
to
in
the
mind,
intermission or questions.
I may not
today,
remember.
but if anyone in the audience wants to put them in chat, I'll make note of them and we'll get to them next week.
I will say this, just in case I forget. That's wisdom and int checks later. It's a +5. I may not remember if you're making a roll, so don't forget if you need to make one.
Okay. As you walk out, you enter back out into the rest of the city, and before you see the glass structure, and off to the side you can make out what are apparently the exhibits on both the military and royal histories of Zelkir. What do you do next? Where do you go?
Is this the town that was supposed to be able to supply Barrowing?
No, there is... Oh gosh, what was it? The thing that you were... Actually, you asked that in character?
Out of character. I can't remember what town it is we said.
This is where the vault is supposedly at, that you were told by, I believe, both Bellevant and Charlemagne, that supposedly contains a material that could help with the defense of Barrowing and would allow Barrowing to end the siege.
Oh, the Runite, right.
Yes. The vault is supposedly here.
Well, yikes. Wish Tiffany was around still.
Sorry, you just get Malith instead.
He's saying we need a ninja. A rogue character. Do we have one? I don't know what Hestia... I think she's more of a ranger act. I'm gonna stop talking out loud. This is not in character.
She's a caster.
Well, she's a caster, but she has an owl that doesn't
That's
seem...
really
There's
making a ninja.
a lot of casters that have pets and homunculi.
Yeah, but they're not usually birds.
I'm basically like an auxiliary character. I give you bonuses.
But you are like a... don't. It doesn't matter. I was talking out loud.
I can
She's
try,
just shaman.
yes.
I will say to... I will look at the party, and I understand that you guys have reservations about assisting this guy, but as it stands, I see no alternative to getting your friends, and what he's asking for, although I hate disrespecting the dead, and if it was up to me, I would not want to do it, but if we're just looking at the outcomes of this situation, we are trading equal souls, it seems. We are getting what we're
We would
giving
be
up.
doing what he did to our families or friends to someone else and doing exactly what he's doing. My family may be hurt, may have their souls trapped,
I don't
but
think
I'd rather not do that to someone else's soul.
I don't think it's equal, because I am suspicious of whether or not he's actually using, if he can actually get the soul of an already deceased person. Like, what he's offering in exchange effectively is an uneven one. He's offering, it seems as though your friends are still alive. Their souls are in his possession. Their bodies are preserved, which means that when you get them back, they will be people. Now, I'm not sure that a dead body is a person. I do think that vampires are people, but I don't actually think that one will die in this process. And me being an immortal would know better than most that immortality offers advantages of time that are not quite the same for mortals. So I
I
think
would rather let my son and husband be lost to time than do that.
to be immortal prisoners of a lich than to give him a dead body, that seems a bit.
I have
Not
something
like
to
it.
say on this, but I don't
Go
really
ahead.
want to say it inside of the city because I think Cohen has ears everywhere. I
Agreed.
don't think we should do any more
Let's go.
strategizing.
Let's
But I
go.
think that we
Agreed.
should find our friend, at least to get the voice that's talking to us in our heads to stop bothering us.
Okay.
Agreed.
I wasn't strategizing for anyone who is listening to our conversations. I was.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, yeah, let's just make sure that we don't. Is there anybody that looks like? Okay, I should rephrase this. Are there any living guards? Does it look like, or do all of like the sentries and that just seem to be undead?
I thought this whole city was living, but
A large chunk of the city is living. I mean, Gabriel, you would have gotten a buzz every once in a while from your amulet as you went about. I would say that there are guards throughout the city that are undead. But a majority of the people out and about are all human, or at least living, not necessarily human.
Okay.
Is there anybody that's in a position where they would have like probably seen like people like coming in and out? Like, is there like a gate warden, or is the town crier like in a good spot to be able to see people?
According to the map, there's only one entrance, and it's over where you guys came in.
Okay. If I walk over there, do I see anyone that looks like they hang out near there, or?
There's a number of stands that are keeping watch of the gate, and they look to have a lot of stuff similar to what you got before, the pamphlet where just has information about the city and what there is to do here, as well as what services or what goods can be had within. So it's mostly just those sorts of people, similar to the hawker that you saw earlier.
Actually, what I propose, I'll see if everyone is okay with this. Why don't we fan out, and we can all just ask around for Jasper. See if anyone's seen a one-legged man with white hair around.
I can do better. Is there any person around us that looks like, like a peddler or anyone who wouldn't mind giving us their attention?
Sure.
I'm gonna go up to, I guess, a passerby who looks like they want to give us attention. And
There's someone, not a passerby, but someone who, the way that they're looking at you, you could easily surmise that they observed your performance previously. And he looks at you with some level of interest.
I'm gonna walk up to him, and I am going to say, it seems you enjoyed the performance.
He nods. Yes, it made me think of my parents. It's been a long time. It's been a hard time, but after whatever it was that you did, they feel close, and yet the pain is lessened. Thank you for whatever that was.
Well, I am glad that it did something for you, but we have also lost people recently. One of them we know is presumably still alive, and we would like to find him. And I know that you probably do not know who he is directly or have any information on him, but I have a harmless method or spell of gleaning information from rumors and people who pass through a city. And I was going to ask you if I could use you as a temporary, maybe for a minute, 2 minutes, vessel to allow me to do this. Would that be acceptable? It's harmless.
For you, sure. For what you did for my parents.
Okay, I am going to cast Ears of the City and do a touch on him.
Okay. Let me double check. I'm just gonna look the spell up real quick.
Okay.
I'm also going to send a sending to Jasper
Okay.
and ask,
Go
where
ahead
are
and
you?
just type that out and send it to him, unless you want to do it out loud for the party.
Okay.
Okay. There are two things that stick out in your mind as you focus on this. Did you make your diplomacy check?
No, I'm gonna, of course, use oratory to do it, but oh shit! Oh, sorry. Sorry. Here we go. Whoops! I didn't mean to do that. I'm looking for. There it is. Did it go? It did not. I will try to roll it again. Oh, ouch.
There is a
I get multiple rounds, though. I get multiple rounds.
There is a flash, because it's a nat 1. There is a flash in your mind, and you see someone interacting with someone who has a peg leg, handing them a long cloak. And then, in the flash of all the images of the city and the goings-on, you lose any other connection to Jasper in what you see.
Okay.
But you did see someone providing a cloak to someone in the peg leg.
I've been getting 1s and 20s. I don't know what is
really
going on.
that's I think more you've had half of your rolls tonight have been one of those two for sure.
2 20s and 2 1s, and I think maybe I got a 6 somewhere. But anyways, all right. Well, I tried. I can do it for multiple rounds, and I don't know if you get multiple.
Given the circumstances with a nat 1, you won't get anything else in further rounds relating to Jasper. At least not.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, let me use up my spell. And I will say, after I come out of the spell, thank you for your time. It was not as helpful as I had hoped it would be.
I'm sorry. I suppose.
It's okay. It's not your fault. It is not your fault. It is my poor ability. I appreciate your.
He nods with a very confused look on his face.
I appreciate your help. You've actually been a tremendous help, and I will not start walking back towards Nomad. And Nomad, it appears that my attempt was not as graceful as I would hope. But I did get
fruitful is more how you would perceive it. You aren't going to feel anything different between a nat 1 and a nat 20 with your check. It's the results that will be different.
Okay, so I don't feel like I did something poorly. I felt like I just didn't get any information. Okay.
Yeah.
what I've seen is that he handed a cloak to someone. Can
Received
I
a
make
cloak from someone.
received a cloak from someone.
A long cloak.
Do I have any information about the what the area looked like, or what the person looked like, or what the cloak
What
looked
about the
like?
cloak? Yeah, the make of the cloak. Maybe we can track down the person who gave it to him.
You weren't able to gather enough detail, but you could tell the color of the cloak.
What color was it?
Jake, I'll just have you answer that. Come up with a decision. What color cloak? And that is the extent of the information about it that you would have gotten.
Well, what are the colors of the authentic regalia of
So
the
I
of
don't know
Selkier?
off
And
the
it's
top of my head. I think I have it written down somewhere, but I think we can safely say that you would all know what those colors were, and so that's the colors that he's in.
Okay.
You're trying to
Well,
find the man with the Mickey Mouse ears at Disneyland.
Let's go to the.
It
Okay,
seemed,
well, he's not making it easy for us, clearly, and the thing in my head has looked around for him as well. So clearly we're all just blind, or you're doing a pretty good job at it.
I will say, based on the knowledge that I have now, it seems as though he's trying to impersonate royalty or a guard or something like that. That's what I'm getting from this.
Okay, well, Hestia, did you let us know that you were sending to meet us at the West Gate?
I'm going to send a sending to Jasper. If he responds, I'll have him meet me at the West Gate. You guys should go and try and look for him. And we'll meet back in 2 hours.
Okay.
Sounds good, everyone?
Yeah.
We will meet outside of the city if we're able to. If we can't leave, we will meet at the West Gate.
If you feel like you've gathered all the information you can, or have something very important, then yeah, we should meet back at the West Gate as soon as possible.
Okay. So how fast are we going to fast track the 2 hours? Because there are some things I want to do in this.
To be looking.
Let's just ask around for a man with a cane that's got a peg leg.
But this is what I want to say is there are things
That should stand out.
I don't have to go over them now, but there are two things I want to do during these 2 hours that we are looking. And I will just, I guess, send that in private to Taggart or something later.
No, if you're gonna,
it's not a secret. It is not a secret.
If you want to do a little exploring in the town when everyone else is trying to look for Jasper, that's fine.
I'm going to look for Jasper too. What I want to do is probably going to take like 20 minutes, but
in character or in game or out of game 20 minutes.
In game 20 minutes,
okay.
But out of character I could probably explain it in like a minute, but I will do it later because it's not necessarily relevant to continuing the storyline. But I just wanted to put it out there. So
what is it that you're wanting to do? If you were to describe it in 12 seconds.
I want to commission some proper attire befitting a worshiper of Ashava. And the second thing is I want to go find the guy who's making pamphlets and convince him through methods to make pamphlets of my own for people who are, for undead that are looking to escape immortality for whatever reason, maybe because they've got a bit of ennui, which is, I guess, something that vampires often have, and with a particular focus on musical or performing artistes, maybe even like vampiric bards. Anyone who is looking to, I don't know, not feel so damned. Because I'm sure not everyone chose to be a vampire or undead that are becoming vampires or undead. So I am fulfilling the requirements of my faith, basically.
Okay, yeah.
I'm proselytizing.
Yep. You will be able to ask around, and we can handle that specific result.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay him.
Afterwards,
I'm gonna pay
but,
him. Yeah, afterwards.
you'll be able to look around for someone to print or to make religious tracts for you.
Pragmatic. They're not just religion. I'm not just
Sure.
But go ahead.
Okay. And then as far as the garb, you'll be able to find someone. They will tell you that it will be a day or two before they can have it done for you, and they do want payment in advance.
Okay, we can do all that outside of
we'll
later.
handle the details outside. Is there anything anybody else is wanting to do other than make skill checks for looking around?
No, not me.
Okay, give
Anyone
me
else?
just a moment.
We need to get Jasper in here. I miss Jasper. We need to find Jasper. Out of character, I'm saying.
Oh, DM. I would like to keep hiding myself from the rest of the party.
Oh my god! I wish I didn't get a nat 1 so I could have better information, because that spell, for every round, I get 1d4 hours of talking to everyone in the city. The fact that I got a 1 on that is ridiculous. I could have done what we're doing in, like...
I think he wants to not be seen, so I think we should leave.
Okay. Also, whatever skill checks that you guys did, they're probably intelligence or wisdom based. They're +5, just so you know.
I will have my owl wait at the east gate, though, just in case, to try to throw off anyone following Jasper.
Actually, I do have one more thing in those 2 hours. Just a preemptive. I have a skill check I would like to do, Taggart.
Okay.
The Necromancer mentioned part of the quest that he was sending us on was to find information about a queen and to memorialize her. I want to collect as much information in the city about this queen and his quest, just in case we need to do something with it later on. Is that knowledge royalty? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, the knowledge royalty, in your circumstances, you would not have that. You can make a diplomacy check to
have
that
it.
information.
Oh, but...
Well,
right.
This specific knowledge, you wouldn't have ever been in a position to gain that information. And so,
I mean, I am a Shabti prince from this area, but...
The place that most people will point you if you want details is to the Museum of Royalty.
Okay, I will go there then.
Do you start at the furthest back history or the most recent?
The history that he was concerned with the Queen, but depending on the time and the accessibility of it, I will expand out from that.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a quick walk through the whole thing and just glance at everything, or you could do a stop. Look at all the information about them. You could read a lot of things. You could be thorough, or you could be. I mean, think about it like a regular museum. So you could very quickly go through the whole thing and just like glance at every exhibit in probably a matter of 10 minutes, if that.
Well, I do want to do a glance, but I also want to spend specifically more time on the subject matter in which...
So, you'll start at the most recent. The first exhibit that you see is totally unfinished, and it simply has a plaque that states Pietro the Liberator and the first vampiric king of Zelkier. And there is pretty much nothing there. No literature, no information. As you move to the next most recent, you see again an empty exhibit, and the exhibit states Queen Elora Damadred. The dates for her rule are roughly 30-ish years ago until just the previous year. And there are, in large part, 2 sections to this exhibit. The one that is empty, and there's a part that says under construction. And as you approach the other part, a voice becomes audible nearby. The part of the exhibit itself shows a young woman, probably about in her 20s, wearing adventurer's garb, holding a fiddle and a rapier. On either side are two younger-looking men as well that look relatively familiar. At least one of them does to you. There's something about it that tickles your mind. And then the rest of the part that's under construction has a plaque that reads, "Uniting a living Zelkir for the last time." And then as you approach that, it talks about how prior to Queen Elora Damadred rising to the throne, Zelkir was on the brink of civil war, and she united it, she helped it come together, and prepared, and talks about how she prepared the way for Zelkir's ultimate transformation.
Hold on. This woman prepared Zelkir for what's going on now? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what it says.
And this is a queen.
That could be a ton of different ways that could mean. It doesn't say that she took part in that, but that
It just said that she laid the groundwork for it.
She laid the groundwork for everything that's happening now. Is the implication.
Huh.
And much as most historians should do, and this is more me speaking as Alexander, but it doesn't take a stance on whether what she did was good or bad. Simply, this is what happened. She acted and prepared the way for the ultimate transformation.
It's impossible to be impartial in history, I think. But I think you always have to tell it. I think you always have to have a perspective.
Alexander might.
Yeah. No, of course not. I mean, but it's obviously slanted. This whole thing is slanted.
No, it isn't. What kind of person would think that? Anyway, is there anything else that you would look at or do?
This is the queen is the one that he wants us to help memorialize. And I guess I don't need any information other than that to figure out, but I am curious about the one that seemed familiar to me. Is there anything that I can do?
A knowledge check or an intelligence check. Sorry.
Just an intelligence check? Okay. So, the liquid I drank did +5 to skill checks. Is this technically a skill check?
I will allow it.
Okay, so +5.
Whew!
God, my rolls!
It tickled your mind so close, but you can't quite pick out why this person looks familiar.
Okay.
You know that it's someone from recent history for you.
Recent history.
Would you go further down in the exhibit? In the museum, not in the exhibit.
I don't think that I need to, but I mean, here's the thing. We don't need to spend the session going over unless you feel like it's relevant. Because
really, just on your way out, you just go the other way and you are just passively glancing at all of them. But there is one exhibit that catches your eye.
Okay, tell us about that.
This is a smaller exhibit. The man in the exhibit is, and here's the thing: is that all of the exhibits, they're all. You know how sometimes museums will have like animatronics that are doing, a couple pre-prepared motions?
Mm-hmm.
This is like that, only a lot more involved and a lot more detailed. Not only will sometimes as you approach an exhibit, an audio, something will start to sound in your ears, but the figures will be a lot more involved in some of the scenes. Someone's, standing in a heroic pose and they're kind of looking around and they'll look approvingly at the people at you as you walk by, and it's almost interactive. And this person that you're approaching that catches your eye angrily sneers at all passersby. The plaque beneath him reads, Familicide. No reason was ever known. And the name is Maldreth the Bloody. No reason was ever known. After causing chaos and division, Maldreth disappeared and was never seen again. He has no known descendants. His booth is small, and has littered among it bones and corpses scattered around him. Most notably of all, though, Maldreth looks almost exactly like you.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
The dates of his rule are approximately 300 years ago.
So he was a genocidal king. Alrighty. My character's going to think about that. And I am going to, we can continue with the 2 hours, but there's nothing role play or in game that I can say or do right now about that right now. I will say that. No one's around, so they can't. I guess if there happens to be someone in the museum with me, or someone following me, or keeping tabs on me, they would see me be visibly upset to look at this and be confused. Well, they will see me be confused. There we go.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything that they want to do?
Yeah, I think we can just leave.
Leave the city, or where do you plan to go? We're getting ready to come close to wrapping up, so I'm not sure.
Is there an inn in the city?
Yeah, there's plenty of inns and buildings.
We were in an inn.
Yeah,
do you guys want to go sleep in the place?
No, I do not want to go to that inn. No,
there are many other inns. There's probably close to a dozen inns within the city at least. And yeah. Oh, also, I forgot to give everybody a copy of the map. Let me put that in the chat.
I would tell everybody as well before we split up to look, that our mutual friend has said that he has not been able to look in any of the buildings, but it seems that he has otherwise looked everywhere else. So that is where we should conduct our searches. Just try to go building to building.
Hold on. What? Who said what? All right, somebody said what? Okay, I missed that. Sorry. Somebody said they were looking through buildings in what?
So he said that he has looked everywhere but inside of buildings. So that's where we should conduct our search for Jasper.
Can we just walk into people's buildings?
I mean, I think we should probably be a bit methodical about buildings we look in and where to start.
Well, the information we have is that he has a cloak that resembles the official, uniform, which I'm guessing he picked up from the person in town who was probably trying to peddle them. I mean, that would be the perfect place to get it. Now, the only reason I can think that he would pick up something like that is to infiltrate something. And there is a vault here, and maybe the thing that he so wants for Pietro. Sorry. The thing that he wants from Pietro is maybe in that. So I'm thinking that he's just proactively going to get maybe the thing that he was supposed to have from Pietro.
Well, he
That's what I
seems to be able to take care of himself.
Yeah, but we're
And we'll
looking
keep
for
our
him.
eyes out.
So I'm
We'll keep
thinking,
our eyes out.
where would a vault be? And I'm guessing it's going to be in some sort of official place where people need to look official. What would that? Can I do a knowledge check? Does anyone know? Or would we find out information?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if there's a check we could do to
Yeah.
kind of refine where we're searching.
go ahead. So here's a bleh. I am showing currently the map to the city. I just shared it. So this is mostly approximate. It is not to scale, but the city itself has these sections, and so the only entrance is to the west, but to the south and to the north are approximately apartments that are in what used to be barracks or something of the like that have been repurposed into apartments, and there to the west there is a nicer section of the city, though throughout the city you'll find clumps of buildings that are leveled and destroyed or burned or something, and clumps that are upkept. Those to the west, that section looks to be nicer buildings and nicer construction, though it is more, you find a higher concentration of destroyed buildings there. And if you want to, so go ahead and make a knowledge nobility check right now to know what sort of area you might find such a vault.
It's been 2 hours, so our line thing is gone, right? 90 minutes.
I don't
Actually,
know.
yeah,
It's expired yet. We haven't even begun the search.
Yeah, I think you guys started to, so we're probably about 30 minutes in, and there's been a couple things and I think conversations that have happened in that time, but it has not expired yet. No.
Okay, so it's plus
So-
5. I'm going to take a 10, so I have a 30.
Okay. All right. Bailiff and Prince, as you're thinking about this, kind of what you're able to come up with together is that if the contents of this vault are as valuable as they sound like they are, the likelihood that it is a well-known location, or even that it exists as well-known, is small. And
I love that you gentrified the north section, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
how do you mean?
There was a bunch of warehouses that were run down that looked like in a poor part of town, and they were renovated into apartments. That's gentrification.
North and south. And
Okay, so the north and south are gentrified.
Sure. Well, it was barracks that were turned into apartments.
Oh, barracks, military stuff. That's
Yes,
not quite gentrification.
This whole thing was a military fort. In fact, that central area is a large training field.
Okay.
Is there anyone I notice around, maybe any sort of vendor, soldier, or anyone who might have some useful information, who looks like they could be useful to talk to for information?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a diplomacy check.
Actually, I want to assist with that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, if you would allow it, I wouldn't mind giving up another Ears of the City to try that diplomacy check again.
I'm going to have her do it at the
Okay.
moment, just based on circumstances.
Yep.
So, now, okay, I'll say this, and perhaps I am spilling a little bit too much of the beans on the table, but
Don't
feel
do it.
free in the requests that you have for me that are metagamey comments, like I want to make a check for this, you can feel free to divulge things and not assume that everyone around you will hear it. If that makes sense. Why I'm saying that to you, Mela.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, I figured it would.
Thanks. Actually, I was messaging you about that.
Wait. You said that she can talk about. Wait. She can talk about things where no one else.
If she wants to use details that she doesn't want NPCs nearby to hear, if she's asking me about, here's kind of the things that I want to look for, she can assume that those are not going to be evident immediately to those who are around her. So, yeah.
Thanks. Sorry. I should have just messaged you about it.
Yep, that's fine. And yeah, I don't know. Go ahead. So what is
Okay.
it in particular that you want to look for? You have a description of the person or type of person that you're looking for. Any other details you want to ask about, and then I'll do your check.
If I notice anything besides him or anyone else that seems particularly useful.
You are able to find a shack that is a little bit more run down and not as well kept. Sorry, redundant descriptions there. And it is, I would say, on the more southern side of the city. And the man standing out front has a number of knickknacks and odds and ends on his table, none of which look really appealing or useful, but he does match the description that you had received.
Well, I would, I guess, point him out and say, I think we should maybe talk to this guy. I guess walk up to him.
Are you with anybody else?
I mean, I guess anyone else could see my interest in them, in him, and I would have said, I think maybe we should talk to this guy and see if he knows anything useful.
Okay. Real quick, do we want to call it here for tonight, or do we want to carry on a little bit more with the role playing and the looking around, gathering information?
I'm okay if we call it a night.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Then that is where we'll call it. I'll make a note that you have found that person, Malith, and that we can continue with you all talking to him next time.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Thank you to all of our viewers, and I hope you all had a good time.